Let's go, you guys. Thomas Tuchel records his first win as our new manager. And this win today typified Tuchel to a T. This win had everything. This win had sound defending. I mean, Burnley had 0 shots on goal. This win had incredible possession play too. This win had a great game plan which effectively destroyed Burnley. And one thing I'm going to be referring to a lot as the season goes on, as I've already noticed already, Thomas Tuchel and how he loves his half spaces. In the game today, you guys, I feel like the 4 key players behind why we got this win today, they were Jorginho, Kovac, Mason Mount and HUDSON ODOI. And to be honest, when it comes to naming the man of the match, it's going to be quite hard, because for me, I'd say the main winner today was actually Thomas Tuchel. The tactics, the setup was key to just destroying Burnley. And as we saw time and time again, and like honestly, I could say time and time for the next 10 minutes, we constantly had a 3-man spare in the wide areas time and time again. This was a great performance all round, and you know, this is the type of performance, the type of win that you can build from, improve from, and it's going to be interesting to see what Tuchel does as the season does go on still. And you guys, in the match for you today, I'm going to break down the players, the goals, the key tactical moments. I hope you guys enjoy. Smash that like button. But to start things off, of course, I'm going to use one football to just break down and analyse the lineup that Tuchel put out today. Now, of course, there were some major surprises. We saw the reintroduction of Marcos Alonso back in the team. Of course, I'll speak about Alonso later on in this review. However, we saw some interesting changes more in the team. Mount and Werner playing, you know, closer to Tammy Abraham. Of course, we saw the continuance of Kovac, George and HUDSON ODOI keeping his place in the team too, with the same backline. So I feel like in the next talking points video I do, there are going to be some things I discuss, you guys. I think we're starting to get small glimpses behind the future of the team and, you know, the future of the setup under Tuchel. And of course, you guys, download OneFootball. Honestly, it's so convenient, it's so quick. I use it all the time. It's the best app to use post-match because you get all the information, stats and news you want as well. So if you don't have it, you'll find a link below in the description. Now to continue on with the review. I mean, there are so many big moments, so many great observations and talking points from this game, but I feel like I'm going to start off by speaking about Marcos Alonso. I mean, Tuchel stated that the reason why he played Alonso over Ben today was for his aerial ability. And, you know, I'll give my own personal opinion. Ben is one of the best aerial fullbacks in the league. So for me, at the time, it felt like a bit of a weak reason. And as Alonso played today, it felt like throughout most of the game, he was performing professionally. You know, he was doing what he had to do. He wasn't making any mistakes, and he was keeping that tactical integrity, which was key for other things I'm going to speak about later on in this review. However, near the end of the game, as we struggled to convert these opportunities and chances into goals, it felt like Marcos Alonso knew it was his time to step up. He had an earlier moment in the game where he should have done a lot better from a header, but once he had that same moment again, it felt like he took out his entire season frustration in that moment. Great piece of play, great little flick up as well, and excellent volley as well. That is Marcos Alonso. We've seen what his left foot does. For me, the story of anomaly Alonso does continue, it does go on, but you know, he clearly has a passion for the club, as we saw in the celebration with him obviously holding the club badge, and you know, that's what it's about. So of course, credit to him for that great goal. Now, the next thing that I want to discuss is the half spaces, because it's going to make it hard for me to pick my personal man of the match, because in football you have your strategy and you have your tactics. The strategy is the game plan, and the tactics are those little details you do in game to fulfill the strategy. So what was key was our occupation of the half spaces, and in that sense using the 4-3-1-2 with Mason Mount playing that free role basically, where, you know, he was tasked with dropping deep in these channels in the half spaces. And this is why we constantly saw him and Jorginho finding each other time and time again. Now, I bring this up because if we were poor in the half spaces, this could have really affected the quality of our game today. This would have affected how HUDSON ODOI had the flanks free to himself to do whatever the hell he wanted. This would have affected how Kovac and maybe George would have played too. So for me, I feel like from a tactical point of view, probably the best player the most important one to really help the balance of the team and get all the rest of the players firing was probably Mason Mount. Now, of course, you know, Mason Mount is still young, he's growing. At times, his shot selection in the first half, you know, he never got over the ball. However, with individual mistakes like that, that should not typify his entire performance, because Mount was key in the build-up. As I'm stressing, he was constantly dropping between the lines, constantly becoming an option in the half spaces, which Jorginho was able to find time and time again. And the key thing behind what Mount was doing, and this is key to how Tuchel wants his teams to play, it's how you effectively pin your opposing players, because Mount was positioning himself in front of the Burnley defender and behind the Burnley midfield player, and these guys had no clue what to do. They didn't know when to engage, when to keep their shape, when to press, and because of this, it meant that Hudson Odoi had the flanks free to himself, and you can't give a player like Hudson Odoi that type of space. I mean, you can't, because I think maybe now is the perfect time to speak about him. Hudson Odoi was just sensational today. As I was stressing in my previous Talking Points video, he isn't being used as a traditional wingback in that sense. Under Conte, our team was a lot more rigid, but with how Tuchel uses a 4-2-3-1 and a back three system, there's a lot of emphasis on fluidity, creating the overloads, and the key to doing that today, and one of the differences behind how Tuchel will look to create from the right hand side, similar to what Frank did as well, you know, creating down the right hand side and then you want the left hand side to finish these moves off. Tuchel did things different. Instead of Hudson Odoi already being in that position, it was about freeing that space for him to run into, and the heat maps really reflect this. And you know, Tuchel's comments and his instructions that he gave to Hudson in the previous game makes even more sense, you guys. I mean, Callum today, it was kind of criminal that he didn't get more assists in the game, because he was playing sensational cross after cross, you know, his decision making too. For the first goal that Azpilicueta scored, this was typified by the four key players for me in George, Cover, Mason Mount and Hudson Odoi that combined all together to create that move for Azpilicueta. And it was Hudson Odoi in the most important moment of that passage, you know, cutting inside, because he knew that Azpilicueta was bombing down the right hand side, taking out the Burnley defender to free the space. Excellent play by a player that I've been saying for a very long time can do a lot more than how I feel some people see him. Down the right hand side, you see his creative abilities, his direct play. Down the left hand side, he can cut inside, he can shoot, he can score. Seeing how Callum does develop is going to be extremely interesting, you guys. It's going to be so exciting too. The same thing for Mount, and the same thing for so many young players in this team. Of course, I need to speak about Cover and George, because the reason why Tuchel uses these guys as a pivot is because of the way they like to pass, and that is key, because with Burnley, and I'll give them credit compared to Wolves, they came out to try and win the game today at least, and maybe in that sense that's what cost them, because when you have our back three splitting those centre backs wide, you've got the pivot close together as well. It means as you keep passing the ball through the centre backs, evading the opposition press, you know, at times, you know, when the ball gets played to the wing back, he does have the option to play it back in field, where Cover and George were able to do their thing. George was constantly finding Mount in the half spaces, and Cover was constantly playing the switch balls to Hudson Odoi on the right hand side, and together their possession play was quick, it was fast, there was nothing slow with what they did today, and I felt like both players played very well, were very key in regards to giving us that platform to maintain the tactical responsibilities. And you know, those four players for me, Mount, Hudson Odoi, Cover and Jorginho, were the most important ones to help us get this win. Now, before I end things, if there was one slight criticism I had, and I'm sure you guys had the same thing too, is our inability to kill teams off at the right time. And for me personally, it's deeper than tactics, it's deeper than the managers who come in, because the reality is, when you have an emphasis on new signings in these attacking positions and young players too have to take responsibility, you know, we can't expect them at their young age and with their lack of experience in the new league to constantly be on point when it comes to finishing these chances. But as time goes on, as these players develop even more, they will one day become the players that are constantly taking these opportunities, not wasting chances. And for me, until I see us have that ability to really kill teams off, I feel like I can't call us a title contender, because with how football is, you guys, a lot of times, you know, teams are cancelling each other out tactically. It then becomes about those individual moments of class, which I think will come as time goes on, you guys. But for me, this was a great introduction in regards to what Tuchel can bring. Hopefully now that the foundations get built, maybe we'll see even more different formations and lineups. I feel confident about that, you guys. But anyway, you guys, that was me for the match review today. If you're happy by the win, if you're happy by the performance, then smash the hell out of the like button. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lines TV. I'll see you guys later with a player ratings video, so catch you guys then.